All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to welcome everyone to our very first public budget meeting for this new term. I am Andrea Booth, 6th District at Large and Chair of the Finance Committee. And it is so good to see everyone out this bright, soon-to-be warm Saturday morning. I just want to just give a brief introduction to this process, and then I'm going to turn it over to the mayor if he comes. I know he's going to attend the funeral later this morning for Lisa Lopez Galvin, who was an unfortunate victim of the events of at Union Station. Then I'll turn it over to our city manager. But I just want to say that this is a process. I spoke at our fall meetings of the citywide business plan. This is a process that's ongoing. Our 5-year citywide business plan kind of sets the stage for our budget, because our budget is to implement the goals and the missions of our citywide business plan. And I want to encourage you, as we come up on the fall, to not just attend the budget sessions, but the citywide business plan sessions, because that's where we talk about what we want to do as a city and the planning that goes forth and sets the tone really for the budget and the decisions that we make here. So I just want to thank you all for being here. I'm looking forward to the discussion. And if the mayor comes, we'll give him an opportunity to speak, but I'm going to turn it over to the city manager. After that, our budget office will give a brief presentation, and then we'll start hearing from you. At the end, I'll give an opportunity for my colleagues that are here to give a few closing remarks. And I will go ahead and let's let the city manager give some opening statements, and then I'll have my colleagues that are here introduce themselves as well. But you have to keep your statements brief. All right.
Thank you, City Manager Brian Platt. Thank you all for being here. I just want to say thanks to our team on the city side here. We've got a phenomenal budget team, one of the best for any city anywhere. And this is not a document or a process that started in the last couple of weeks. This is something that is ongoing. It occurs all year long. Months and months of preparation and planning and calculations and analysis. And it's so important for us because it allows us to do all the great things that we do. Without funding and resources, we can't pave streets, pick up trash, provide health services. Any of the things that we do, we can't do them. So I am personally thankful, but I think all of us here are also. Could anyone on the budget team and finance team just stand up so we can just say thank you? I'm going to make it awkward, Tammy. Sorry. Thank you all. Really, really, thank you. And also, we've got a lot of additional staff here as well. I just want to say thanks to them. We've got a lot of department directors and assistant city managers. We're here to listen. It's part of our job to make sure that the services that we provide reflect the needs of the community. So thank you all to the department directors and also to our council who's leading this process. Thank you.
All right, we'll start with Mayor Pro Tem and just provide introductions. And I know the mayor is on his way. He knows that I'm punctual and we'll start on time, so he's already texted me and let me know he's on his way.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to, first of all, welcome you all to the 5th District, and thank you all for making this a priority on this bright Saturday morning. As the Mayor Pro Tem and 5th in District Councilwoman, this process is so important, and I just want to make sure that we give you guys time for your voice to be heard. But as was stated, this process really starts in the summer, and it'll be more important for you all to engage this coming summer because we are starting to transition into what we call priority-based budgeting, which is a process that will elevate your voice even more because we will be establishing priorities based upon how you all direct us. So I just want to encourage you to continue to stay involved in the process. My office will be available to assist at any time. So thank you so much for being here. Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Very briefly, thank you all for being here. Thank you to the staff. As Mayor Pro Tem alluded to, right, this is priority-based budgeting. Essentially means that we fund what we value, right, based on what we hear from our residents. The budget is a moral document, and I'm happy that we're here to take it seriously because we fund what we value, and it's important that we hear from you to know what we value because we work for you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Darrell Curls, Councilman, 5th District at large. So welcome to the 5th District. Appreciate you guys being here and appreciate you coming out, taking time out of your busy schedule to share with us your concerns for the budget. As everybody mentioned, I'm not going to try to repeat everything because they said everything so eloquently already. But this is important, and I'm glad that you're here to participate. I just wish this room was really filled because we've got a population of 500,000 or more people, and you can see who are really concerned. I know everybody's busy on a Saturday, but this is important too because we hear from you as to what you want us to do. So thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Robinson. I represent the 3rd District. Also, thank you for being here. I ditto everything that has been said. What I will add is that although that there's been, this budget has been produced by numerous calculations, this is a first draft. And we are here to make sure that the final draft represents your values and your interests. We will pass this budget on March the 28th, and so we need you to be engaged throughout the process. I also would like to thank the Finance Committee for making sure that these hearings are out in the community to give opportunities for you all to hear from a place where it's not, City Hall. So not only are we here to listen, but we're here to act. And I encourage you to look for the budget amendments for March 28th when we pass it at the end, because we shouldn't just be listening, but we should be taking action based off of what you say that how we need to move forward. Thank you.
All right, and I just want to say hello to our former colleague Lee Barnes, who just joined us in the room. He's going to check up on us, so he tried to sneak in, but all right. So I will turn it over to Krista Morrison, and she's going to give an overview of the budget, and then when the mayor arrives, we'll turn it over to him.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Krista Morrison. I'm Kansas City's budget officer, and I very much appreciate the thoughts of the council members of your attendance on this Saturday morning. Kansas City's budget is, in fact, probably one of the most important policy decisions the City Council considers every year. And it is a reflection and should be a reflection of the priorities of its residents. So I'm going to provide just a brief overview of Kansas City's submitted budget. And then for any more detail you may want, I'll be over in the corner and I'll give some contact information as well. So Kansas City's submitted budget is available online at www.kcmo.gov/budget. It slices and dices Kansas City's budget in probably any way you'd want to look at. Departments, programs, each funding source for Kansas City, sources and uses. So I would encourage you, if there are just a few sections that you want to focus in on, it is a 700-page document. But if you want the overview of it, Kansas City's budget, I would encourage you to look at two sections. The first, the transmittal letter. That is a letter produced by the mayor and city manager Platt that actually talks about the highlights in Kansas City's budget and major changes between the current year and the submitted budget. The second section is the budget overview. So that section just talks about significant changes, where the focus and priorities are in the 25 submitted budget. So Kansas City's submitted budget is a $2.3 billion budget. The budget is broken down in two categories: governmental activities and business type activities. Business type activities represent our water and water funds, sewer funds, stormwater funds, as well as aviation funds. Business type is fee supported. It can be only used for that purpose. The other category is governmental activities. That represents $1.5 billion of Kansas City's budget, and that represents the general fund as well as special revenue funds for the city. So what that looks like, this chart here represents Kansas City's budget. And you can see here our budget's basically broken out in a third, a third, a third. So a third of Kansas City's budget in the red, that's business type activities. That's water and sewer, stormwater and aviation. Those fees can only be used to support those programs. A third of Kansas City's budget roughly is for the general fund. And the general fund represents probably some of our most flexible resources for the city, but it also supports some of the most important focused programs to residents. It supports recycling, trash, the majority of the police department and fire department, as well as many of our neighborhood and housing programs are supported by the general fund. The other third of Kansas City's budget is in a category called special revenue funds. And those are dedicated by what voters approve that money for. So we can only use it, it's restricted by use. An example of that is when you approved the park sales tax. The park sales tax, that money can only be used to support the park system. So how Kansas City's budget is spent, and this is broken out by goal in the citywide business plan. You heard the finance chair Boo speak a little bit about the citywide business plan, which is the overarching guide for really setting the annual budget for Kansas City. The largest category of investment in Kansas City's budget is infrastructure and accessibility. So that's our roads, that's our bridges, that's the sidewalks, that's your water lines, your sewer lines across the city. That is followed by an investment in public safety. Public safety represents 26.9% of Kansas City's overall budget. And then we have categories of housing and healthy communities representing 13.3%, finance and governance at 7.1%, and then inclusive growth and development at 5.5%. So one thing for anyone attending today that I think is important to understand is every category and every goal in Kansas City's budget is increasing. The funding is increasing in each of those categories by council goal. Most notably, the increase in housing and healthy communities. I think it's a record high percentage increase at $50 million or 19.8%. You'll see the other goals such as public safety, infrastructure, and accessibility also with increasing services and funding to each of those categories. So this is what Kansas City's budget, and this is just a few views, and this shows Kansas City's budget by goal, by department. So as you might imagine, one of our highest areas of investment in governmental activities. So this is just governmental activities. It's not our water and aviation department. The largest investment in Kansas City is public safety. So our police department is the largest funded department at $317 million, followed by our fire department at $275 million, and Public Works, which manages trash, streets for Kansas City, just to name a few programs, is $204.8 million. I won't go through each of these departments, but this just shows you where the level of funding is and focus. So oftentimes, since so much of Kansas City's budget is what we consider restricted, the business type, water and aviation, it can only be used for for those fee-supported programs, and then special revenue funds can only be used for what voters approve that for. So the general fund is where we're often talking about, since it is the most flexible of resources, anytime new programs are considered for the budget, we look at, is there a restricted fund available with capacity for it? If not, we look to the general fund, because the general fund is the most, is the least restrictive of all of Kansas City's funds. But again, The general fund supports some of our largest programs for Kansas City to residents, to include most of our public safety departments, as well as trash and recycling. But I'll highlight here Kansas City's general fund, and this is where the money comes from. So where the money comes from is 45% of general fund revenues comes from the earnings tax. And then that is followed by local use tax at 12%, utility tax is 13%, property tax at 11%. So this is where the money's coming from, general fund for Kansas City. Now where the money goes, this is the general fund expenditures. And you can see here the largest category in the general fund, 73.3%, is funded in the area of public safety. That's the municipal court, the fire department, and the police department. The next category is the finance and governance, and that is many of our internal facing departments, like the finance department, the law department, supporting the entire city at 13.4%, and then housing and healthy communities at 12.4%. You can see the full breakdown here. So one of the challenges facing Kansas City and its budget is a structural imbalance. Our revenues are growing at a rate of pretty remarkable, 9.3%, but expenditures are growing at a rate of 13.8%. So Kansas City is facing some tough decisions ahead. So you heard some strategies mentioned by some of the council members, but what this current budget in the general fund is around a $50 million structural imbalance, with expenditures exceeding revenue. We're in a healthy financial position right now related to our fund balance, so we can sustain this a year. But we have to make some tough decisions ahead as a city. So that's why your voice, you coming out today about what your priorities are, as well as the citywide business plan, when those meetings come up, is so very important. Because you see here over time, our submitted budget estimates we will end with a fund balance above our 3-month target. And that's our fund balance reserve. That's our rainy day fund or emergency fund. But we can only sustain that for a number of years. And in fact, in 2027 is the year we are anticipating we're going to go below our reserve. So we will be looking at programs ahead. Your voice will matter in the process to ensure that we're aligning resources to really what matters to you. A few highlights in Kansas City's budget. I won't go through all of these because we're really here to hear from you today. But I want to highlight some areas, particularly in housing and healthy communities. I mentioned earlier, this is the largest increase in Kansas City's overall budget. And there are some, I think, great community-focused investments and priorities here. The budget adds $1.5 million for emergency shelter for the unhoused. The budget also provides an additional $800,000 in '25 to fund the current demand for the Right to Counsel program, for a total funding of $2.4 million. The Right to Counsel program started in June of 2022, and it provides any individual or resident in Kansas City facing eviction services. Since that program started, this program has supported almost 2,300 individuals and families facing eviction. The budget also prioritizes $6 million annually for year 2 of 5 for violence intervention and prevention. So there's a $30 million investment over 5 years focused on specifically violence intervention and prevention, and this is the second year of that dedicated funding. The budget also appropriates in the area of affordable housing. There's a $12.5 million add in the Housing Trust Fund for affordable housing initiatives. This is year 2 of 4, allowed by GEO Bond Authority, approved by voters, to make progress in Kansas City on affordable housing. A few other areas I'll highlight: $1.5 million for dangerous buildings in neighborhoods. A couple other neighborhood empowerment grants is funded at $400,000. This is to make progress in where your neighborhoods can come and apply for these grants for issues you're facing in your neighborhoods. We're also investing in a cleaner Kansas City. The City Council recently passed implementing trash carts. Last year, we implemented recycling carts. This budget provides $8.1 million of additional funding for a cleaner Kansas City, and that continues the expanded bulky item program. It also funds the continued service of the recycling carts, but it also implements trash carts this year across the whole city for a cleaner Kansas City. We're also adding $250,000 specifically for litter cleanup. In the area of public safety, we are providing wage increases with the goal to remain competitive in the region for the fire and police department. We want to make sure we can stay competitive, recruit and retain top quality public safety professionals. We're also creating a hiring incentive program in the police department for positions that have been difficult to fill in the past, like the 911 Communication Center. So this budget funds an incentive program to hire and retain staff. It also prioritizes solutions to address emergency call wait times. And then in the area of fire, this budget spends $27.6 million in dedicated fire capital sales tax for station improvements, for emergency fleet vehicles such as ambulance, as well as the equipment contained within, replacing outdated EKGs and other life safety equipment. In the area of infrastructure and accessibility, this budget funds an additional $4 million for Vision Zero. Vision Zero is a program designed to eliminate traffic fatalities and serious injuries on Kansas City streets by 2030. So this investment is dedicated at focusing on problem intersections and roadways across Kansas City to improve safety. This budget also continues the enhanced snow removal the city manager and city council started in 2022, as well as it funds year 4 of 5 of increased investment in street preservation. In the area of finance and governance, it continues investments in the equity office and accessibility of city services. This budget appropriates $375,000 specifically for language access initiatives and adds $1 million for funding for a new refugee and immigrant services program. This budget also dedicates $210,000 for the reparations committee. And this budget invests in wages and benefits for Kansas City's employees. That's what we provide as service. So this budget provides wage increases and fully funds pension for all of Kansas City's employees. So that is a recap, highlights. I certainly cannot in 15 minutes provide all the detail, but these are the major investments in Kansas City's budget as far as changes from the current year. Right now, we are in the process of 3 public hearings, and this is the first of 3. The budget will be passed on March the 28th. So that's where your input matters. This city council is considering the current submitted budget, and they will be considering amendments to that budget. We have 2 more opportunities for public engagement. Is next Saturday, March 2nd at City Hall. It will be virtual as well as in person. Free parking will be provided adjacent to City Hall at the Wolf Garage. The third meeting, is Monday, March 4th. It's going to be an evening meeting from 6 to 8:30 in the Northland at Northland neighborhoods. So with that, I'm going to turn this back to our finance chair so we can start hearing from you.
All right, before we take testimony from the audience, I'm going to turn it over to our mayor to say a few comments. Do you want to do it from there? All right.
I can do it from here real quick.
Oh,
Why
that's
y'all try
right.
to give me that? Hi, everybody. I'm Quentin Lucas, longtime 3rd District resident, currently studying abroad in the 4th District. It is good to be with all of y'all today. Thank you for being part of our participation. I also want to thank Ms. Morrison and much of our city staff in connection with it. I also will give not too many shout outs, but Councilman Lee Barnes, former councilman from the 5th District at large. He just loved these meetings so much, he's going to keep coming forever. Make sure he opines. We love hearing from you. As you might know, the budget is never a done deal, and so we want to make sure that we hear what your ideas, what are we missing, what do we need to prioritize, what are the vital issues for Kansas City. Ms. Morrison already went over a number of the highlights, but particularly in public safety, including traffic safety, housing, and a few other important areas, I think you're seeing positive change. My colleagues and I look forward to hearing from you, incorporating your views into the ultimate budget. I apologize, I'll be leaving for a funeral in just a few minutes, but nonetheless, I thank you all so much for being here, and you're welcome to join us for the future meetings. With that, I'll turn it over to the chair, Councilwoman Boo. Thank you.
All right, we've had two other colleagues. I'm just going to ask them to introduce themselves, and as I mentioned, we'll have an opportunity to say a few words at the end.
Hi, I'm Melissa Patterson Hasley, Councilwoman for the 3rd District at large.
Eric Bunch, 4th District and District.
All right. So I have cards here, and we're going to go in the order. You will have 2 minutes, and the timer is up behind me. So we'll start with Terry Barnes. I'm going to read 3 names, and then so you can line up, and we'll read 3 more. Terry Barnes, Mickey Dean, and Beth Berger.
Good morning. My name is Terry Barnes, and I'm the chair of the Mayor's Commission on Reparations. And I was told just when I stepped out of the room, there was a budget amount of $210,000. So thank you for that. We were seated in May of last year under Ordinance 220966 with the charge of studying and recommending proposals to address the harms for Black people in Kansas City. Our initiative was to identify the damage and the harms, who is responsible, and how to redress the harm. We were seated without funding, and it is our desire to request that funding be placed in the 24-25 budget, which we see $210,000 is there. The total budget was $510,000. So we would like a clear mandate and commitment to making sure our work is started, sustained, and completed. The funds being in the budget ensures the appropriate resources are made available and work is completed as outlined in the ordinance. We know that a significant part of the disparities are related to the vestiges of chattel slavery, Jim Crow, discrimination, racist policies, practices, and procedures that are baked into the life and business of Kansas City and around the country. Including the funding in the budget ensures that our work stays on track, and ultimately, we will provide the city with recommendations that we believe addresses the harms and ensures that Kansas Cityans never have to worry about these atrocities again in the future. The other thing that I want to share with you all, for the past 10 months, we have really been working across the country and hearing from reparations commissions across the country, learning a lot. Just last night, I was on a call with a gentleman in Fulton, Georgia, who was able to trace slavery in that community back to 1850, where it identified individual slave names and how they were transferred from family to the current day people in the community. So the time that we've been given has been very helpful in understanding what other communities are doing and how they are going about doing the work. But we really implore you to make sure that our work is fully funded so that we can get started and bring the information back to the city. Thank you.
Yeah. Could we turn the lights on up here, do you think? Or the lights on everywhere, actually. There. Thank you.
Good morning.
My name is Mickey Dean, and I'm representing the KC Reparations Coalition. KC Reparations Coalition was formed in November 2020. We had two goals. One was to educate the city's residents on the issue of reparations for economic business development and criminal justice. Two, conducting an extensive study to determine the extent of the disparities between the black and white communities of Kansas City. And three, develop proposals for reparatory justice to reduce the racial disparities. The commission was established by a vote of City Council in January 2023. The commission was seated in May of that year. However, no funding was provided to the commission to do its work. Coalition felt that the commission should have been funded at the time that it was established. This is a city-established commission, and therefore it should be fully funded by the city. To date, almost 9 months since the commission was seated, no funding has been provided. This means that the commission has not been able to conduct the work required by the enabling orders. We've been in touch with most of the major cities that have established commissions and task force, and all of them, other cities have shown their commitment to reparatory justice by immediately funding their commissions. I provided for you some newspaper clippings from other cities whose commissions received immediate funding from their legislative bodies. These cities have demonstrated their commitment by giving their commissions the tools they need to be successful. So far, we've not seen that in Kansas City. We truly believe that our city council wants to do the right thing and do right by its black citizens. After all, council members voted almost unanimously to establish a commission. The right thing to do is to fully fund the commission immediately so that it can get on with its work. And as you see on the top sheet that I gave you, it shows some of the funding from other cities: $500,000 Boston, $500,000 Los Angeles, $500,000 Chicago, $350,000 Detroit, $250,000 Fulton
Right.
County, Georgia. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Good morning. My name is Beth Berger, and I'm here today representing Southeast Kansas City, Hickman Mills, and Ruskin Heights. And while I saw a lot of things we need in the budget, I would like to implore you to make sure all neighborhoods are aware of the funds available and how to get them. These are our needs. Our roads need to be repaired. Our social services need money. Police need to be funded so we can have police in our community. And I notice you're giving out new trees, but what are you doing to remove the dead trees in our community that are very dangerous? We need our dangerous buildings and our vacant buildings torn down. We need economic development in our community. Large trash needs to be picked up regularly, not have to make an appointment. We need tires picked up in our community to stop illegal dumping. And we need better codes enforcement and ordinances upheld. There's no use of voting on ordinances on the council if somebody is not taking care of making sure those ordinances are enforced in our communities, like businesses having a license, and that businesses in our community can't just throw up buildings with no paint or siding on them. You know, they can't have businesses on street corners and pay no taxes. We need these ordinances that you make that people have asked for. We need those enforced. And I hope there's money in the budget to do that, to improve our communities and our living conditions. We deserve safe and clean communities, all communities in Kansas City. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to say in advance, I'm sorry if I mess up your name. I think I messed up Beth's, and I've known her for a long time. So Kurt Weber, Jerry Folds, and Carl Stafford.
I'll make mine short. Please fully fund our current zero fare bus service in Kansas City. We need that to get people around our city.
Thank you. Jerry?
My name is Jerry Foles. I'm a Kansas City resident. My question has to do with infrastructure. Significant portions of Blue River Road have been out of service for a number of years now, essentially turned into a dumping ground. I would like to know where that is in the budget, if it exists at all, and when that might be addressed.
Thank you for your testimony.
Carl Stafford, founder, visionary, My Region Wins, Kansas City's creative nonprofit organization. Thank y'all for what y'all do. As a grassroots, minority-led nonprofit organization, we would like the opportunity to help you all
address all of these situations that they are talking about. But specifically, land bank properties that we're spending how much money on, if we can take 10% of those land bank properties and turn them into neighborhood revenue generators, to be able to generate revenue, to be able to create neighborhood capacity, build neighborhood capacity, so then we can actually compensate residents in the neighborhood to take on some of these things. Compensate the resident that wants to be the president, vice president, secretary, block coordinators, youth coordinators, generate revenue for these neighborhoods, and then ultimately we can stipend households in the neighborhoods. Equity should be in the neighborhoods, and it can be in the neighborhoods. Alaska is stipending its residents off of a natural resource, oil. We have two natural resources, stormwater and land. We can generate revenue if we think about it, and then allow us to start converting this Kentucky bluegrass to natural native plants, buffalo grass. That's the closest grass to this Kentucky bluegrass. Doesn't have to be cut, can be watered by citizens. So really see us as assets and go ahead and work from the ground down to address these issues. It's not rocket science, it's political non-science. And then with that excess money from not cutting so much grass, we can start investing in the seniors who have been living in these neighborhoods for decades. If there's a 90-year-old senior who's been living in their house for 50 years, why are we not knocking on their door and making sure they can age in place? Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anthony Cunningham, Nina Whiteside McCord, and Evangelist Esther Holzendorf.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Cunningham. I'm a 4th District residential leader with Sunrise Movement KC, and I live car-free, so I take my legs and the wheels on our city's bus service to get around. This morning I took the 31st Street and the 18 route down here. I'm testifying today to make the following budget demands of you all. 1, to commit to fully funding our city's current level of bus service, a $26 million increase over the proposed allocation. Number 2, commit an additional $16 million for funding fast and frequent bus service along 7 key corridors throughout our city, corresponding to our region's Smart Moves 3.0 plan. Number 3, if this body is willing to let our bus system regress and degrade because you don't think that the KCATA are good stewards of taxpayer money, then you need to address that head on. You need to audit their financial and performance records. And lastly, Keith proposed $4 million for Vision Geo projects. Kudos to the city manager and staff for having that allocation. To speak to that first point, I am of the belief that if this body chooses not to fill that $26 million gap that currently exists in the proposed budget for our city's bus system, you would have actually made a choice to further hurt poor and working class Kansas Cityans and folks who use public transportation daily. And why? Because you don't think that the KCATA are good stewards of our money? Well, it's funny because I recall a number of you on this body comparing the KCATA to the Board of Police Commissioners, to unelected, unaccountable entities that otherwise provide a fundamental public service. And yet, the latter is set to receive a $32 million increase over last year's budget, while the former is poised to slash our bus service and as a transit-dependent Kansas City. And I'm calling on you all to keep the hypocrisy at bay and, at a very minimum, commit to fully funding our city's current level of bus service. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nina Whiteside McCord. I live in Maryland Ridge subdivision, and I want to thank you for the 2 projects in our neighborhood that you are taking care of, and Carl and Mike. And what I'm here to talk about isn't going to take 2 minutes. I would like to have you guys look at the creek that's in our neighborhood that goes from 66th Street to the back of the cemetery on 67th Street. We've had this conversation before. And on 67th Street from Truce to Paseo, we're putting bandages on where all the street is falling out. And I think we have a lot of underdrafts or something coming from the cemetery that is continuing to erode the streets, along with there's never been curbs and sidewalks. And I've been in this neighborhood since 1992. So I would just like for you to give us some thought, and you've already walked our neighborhood. We were first when Councilman Mayor Pro Tem Shaw decided to do the walkthroughs of the neighborhoods, and we started on 65th and Paseo. I appreciate Mr. Curls, Councilman, stepping in and for the things that you did for our neighborhood. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Esther Hosendorf, and I'm here to speak on behalf of reparations. Thank you for including us in your budget. Reparations is not just political. There is a human side to reparations. I was born September the 15th, 1938, in southeastern Oklahoma. My great-grandmother, Mrs. Matilda Poe, was born into chattel slavery in Indian Territory. I knew her. I lived in the house with her. I was 10 years, 11 months old when she passed. So I know the stories of the plantation. Granny, as we called her, wasn't sure of what year she was born. But she told me about the time when they brought some little children by the plantation. And she said the babies were crying for their mammy, because their mammy had been sold. And they were on their way to another plantation. When they told Granny that they had to leave, they left the plantation with nothing. They'd never been off the plantation. But somehow, they managed to survive. And because of Granny, I'm here. Because of Granny and all those that survived, we're here. But I want you to understand that they were human beings. Chattel, yes, but yet human. She's buried in the Northtown Cemetery, and I bought her headstone. And on that stone, my daughter said, tell them that Granny didn't know when she was born, but she died in 1949, a free woman. Thank you for listening. Please remember my granny and all those that are the reason why we are here. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Kelly, Maureen Ansari, Megan Freeman.
Good morning, members of the City Council. My name is Michael Kelly. I'm speaking here on behalf of Bike Club KC. I want to begin by thanking you all for setting aside $4 million in the proposed budget for Vision Zero. As I'm sure all of you know, traffic violence is a serious issue for Kansas City, and it is something which disproportionately harms some of the most vulnerable members of our community. Traffic violence is something which, with regards to the Black community, Black Kansas Cityans are twice as likely to die from traffic crashes as their white counterparts. And so investing in Vision Zero is investing in racial justice, is also an investment in sustainable communities and creating safer communities for everyone. So please maintain the $4 million in Vision Zero. Thank you also for continuing the investment in sidewalks and ADA improvements. It is important that we not only create walkable communities, but accessible communities for everyone. And on that point, I would also ask that if it is possible to find funding, please do so that we can update the city's walkability plan. It has not been updated since 2003, and that is a big part of the reason why we have such significant challenges with making investments in sidewalks, crosswalks, safe routes to school throughout the city. I will just finish my comments by echoing some of the earlier comments about requesting an increase in funding for transit. If we are serious about creating multimodal options for everyone, then that means that we have to invest in walking, biking, and transit especially. So thank you all again, and yes, please fund those elements in the budget.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mehreen Ansari. I'm a lifelong Kansas Cityan and a leader of Sunrise Movement KC. Up until a year ago, I was a bus rider with no interest in getting a car or my license, but it became so difficult getting to work on time, I had to make the choice. I'm honestly tired of having a car and carrying the burden of a loan payment, of insurance, of maintenance. I want a bus service that connects me to my work, grocery store, gym, pharmacy, and restaurants on routes that come so often they're competitive with cars. Investing in our buses is is investing in our futures, whether that's the future of our planet or long-term cost of road care, since we know less cars on the road mean less potholes and less road repairs. I'm here today to call on City Council to invest $42 million additional dollars into our bus system to fully fund our bus service, zero fare, and expand frequent bus lines in our city. If City Council feels any hesitancy in funding the bus service that Kansas deserve because of the KCATA, I say audit them and stop using them as an excuse as to why not deliver the bus system that we deserve. Kansas Cityans need you to be brave for us, to fight for us, and fight for our buses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Megan Freeman, and I am a board member for Marlboro Community Coalition. The coalition serves the nearly 10,000 people living between Gregory and 89th Street and Truce to 71st Highway. There are 4 specific budget items of special interest to the coalition. We support the proposed budget increase of $70,000 for the neighborhood CAN centers. We are grateful for the $12,000 CAN center budget we received this past year, and we need to house a second community engagement specialist, along with social service partners and others such as the Health Department Office of Violence Prevention. We are proud of all the work that we have accomplished out of our 750 square feet that we rent. But we know with an additional substantial investment from the proposed $70,000 increase, our impact can be even more important. We also ask about the Purple Bag program and that the budget be increased to $30,000 to specifically fund a program that is administered by the coalition. The coalition has experience working with houseless persons, doing trash removal, disposal, and mowing. We have existing networks to connect our houseless residents to assistant opportunities. We expect that our public bag program, Purple Bag program, will actually save the Public Works Department triple or more the amount that it would cost them to respond to the needed cleanups. Our residents are embarrassed for family and friends to think that they find it acceptable to live in a dirty neighborhood. We are passionate about making our neighborhood as free as possible from illegal dumping. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Layla Zadi, Eric Thera, is that right? And Carlos Smith.
Hi, my name is Layla. I'm a leader with Sunrise Movement KC. I live in the 3rd District in the historic Northeast. I do own a car, but I do ride the 11 and the 24 buses every week. I'm encouraged by the city's Vision Zero funding and many other programs, but I'm here to call on this council to fund an additional $42 million for bus transit. For years, this city has agreed that the cost of our bus service is $93 million in your annual service agreements with the KCATA. And the city has funded a $26 million gap in there through COVID dollars. And we want to see this council take action to fill that deficit in our city budget. And also, we as a movement have talked to hundreds of bus riders. 1,000 people have signed our petition for better buses in Kansas City. And the #1 issue that many bus riders have brought up is the fact that our buses are not frequent. Our MAX lines are not truly bus rapid transit. They're not coming every 10 minutes. Some of them are coming every 20 minutes. The 63 bus that comes to this public meeting space comes every hour. How is someone supposed to come to this meeting today if they had to get up at 6, 7 in the morning and the bus lines don't even run as that frequently on the weekends? We want to see a city where everyone can get to jobs, education, housing, to school. You could unlock so many opportunities for young people like me and for all the people in the city if you've actually funded our buses to the level they needed. The budget increase in this year's budget is honestly not an increase. It is a reinstatement of money that should have never been misdirected. We know that we're asking for a lot, but I have to tell you, I'm scared for my future. I'm
I'm scared of the fires, the floods, the hurricanes, the hot summers that come. When transit is the #1 form of climate emissions that's hurting the people in this room, my generation, and the generation after us. Be brave and fight for us.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Eric Tharu, and I'm a member of the Sunrise KC movement. I live in the 6th District of Kansas City, and I'm here today to support fully funding our bus service. While I'm currently not an active member of Kansas City's bus service, I am someone who has been affected by a lack of any other transportation options in the past. As where I reside down in the 6th District, there's a lack of access to buses, there's a lack of access, there's no sidewalks in my community, so any other choice to get around besides the car. I am a senior in high school, but a few years ago, I was obviously not able to drive, and during those times, I had very little ability to get around as I also had 2 new siblings that were born, so my parents were also very busy with them, and they are mostly unable to transport me around. I love Kansas City, and I want everyone to be able to enjoy the city, regardless of their ability to drive. Service cuts would increase the barrier to transportation for everyone, and this is why I support fully funding the bus system to the tune of $42 million additional dollars, as well as the Vision Zero program, as I believe that no one should be in danger when using our transportation system, as I've personally seen my own friends be involved in car crashes and the effect that can have on their lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Corliss Smith. I forgot my t-shirt, Kansas City, Hickman Mills area. Trash, 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 trash. We used to call it litter. You all had a commercial years ago of a Native American crying because of the litter and the trash that was in the city. We're back to that point. Trash is ridiculous. I see we have a healthy budget. I hope when we get our trash cans that they're anchored and that they're emptied regularly. I wish we could get just one commercial, maybe every other week, to bring more awareness to us as individuals to clean up after ourselves. Don't just drop, throw out the window, whatever we do. I see it all the time. But it's to a point to where it's ridiculous. Bruce Watkins, gosh, what a great man, but what an eyesore. From 31st Street to my church all the way back to Bannister. Our streets need to be clean. Our highways need to be cleaner. So I'm hoping with this budget, maybe we can shift some of the funds to pick up more of the trash. And I'm not against an initiative for me helping out also. So if it's a purple bag, a blue bag, whatever color, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank Dominiquez, Mark Porter, and Linda Brown.
Good morning, my name is Leon, and I want to focus on the general funds. In 2020, the Vera Institute data put Kansas City at $260 million plus in the police budget. This was 43% of our city funds. That put us 5th in the police spenders. Local governments spent on average $340 per person on law enforcement. In 2020, this number for Kansas City was above $500. In 23, it had an increase of $284 million to the budget, and today we're proposing an increase to $317 million, an 11% increase. On your own data, you try to put that as a low increase, but on standard deviations, this is a lot higher for police budgets. We talk about safety, but this is actually counterproductive to our anti-violence programs, our reparations programs, our public transportation, and our environment safety. Security organizations showed that in 2016 to 2021, Kansas City was 6th in police killings. That also put us at 10th in the consistent increase of these killings. More than 57% of these incidents were against black folk. Is this a department that deserves wage increases? Kansas City itself hasn't updated their police violence data since 2021. Where's the money for that? Knowing the data shows us exactly where our money should be allocated, and we continually increase the violence system, the budget itself, and those allocating the budget can be just as violent. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to switch the microphone. I don't think that microphone's working very well.
Good morning. I'm Mark Porter, one of 100 men from Blue Hills, and we help maintain the land bank lots in our neighborhoods. I'm coming to the council to this budget hearing to request an increase in the funding for the contractors that cut land bank lots. We haven't got an increase in 2 years. So we struggled last year to get through it. The mayor asked us to pay our help $15 an hour, which we've done, but we have to still struggle because we haven't got an increase in 2 budgets. So I'm calling to ask that this budget includes an increase in the land bank funding because we need it. We don't only cut grass, we take care of illegal dumping. We cut for some seniors that are close to land bank properties. We cut theirs as well. We don't charge them anything. We cut it. Some people think that this job is easy, but it's not. We take trash to the curbs, tree limbs, we do it all. So I'm asking this budget, in this budget hearing, that you all find the heart to give us an increase. We haven't had an increase in 2 years. And the trash has gotten worse. Our seniors need more help, and we're willing to help, but you all have got to help us. Okay? I thank you.
I'm Linda Brown from Blue Hills. And first of all, thank you for the amount of money that you are allowing for neighborhoods. Excuse my voice. But we have 6 districts in this city, and $400,000 for the whole city is not enough for neighborhoods. So we're not saying we're not grateful for what you've given us, but neighborhoods do so much. Everybody that has came up here and spoke about neighborhoods, you know what is being done. So any help is greatly appreciated. But let's look at the whole city as a whole. And like they say, trash, trash, trash. And then we also have so many seniors that need desperate help. And we've been doing it. One of the things I want us to remember, when you are helping the neighborhoods, reimbursement hurts us because we don't have no money in the first place. And then when we get ready to do the work, nobody even wants to honor the city's 500 or 200,000 as a whole while we try to get the money so we can make repairs. So think about reimbursement and think if we're doing it, we should put in invoices, improve what we're paying for, but reimbursement is hurting our community, especially in the 3rd and the 5th district. And you always say, let's help the east side. Let's help the east side. Thank you.
I have 4 cards left, and so we'll go in this order. Mary Barnett, Chad Oniana, Hannah Oliver, and Abby Craig.
Good morning. My name is Mary Barnett. I'm from the 5th District. I'm from the Blue Ridge Corridor area where the largest investment in the state of Missouri, the Cerner/Oracle project, has stolen all of our glory and left us in blight, disparity, crime, unkept promises. I have the budget 2017, 2022. None of these things have been done. We're asking you to do what is necessary to make sure the communities that are suffering and have been neglected for years are taken care of. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chad Onyala, and I'm here with Sunrise Movement KC, and I'm here to demand that you fully fund zero fare, more frequent bus routes, and fill a deficit in funding for our bus system. As someone who does not have a working car of my own, I've relied on KC buses a lot, especially over the last year, specifically the 11, the 39, and the Truce Max. And honestly, I don't really know what else to say except that I'm tired, and all bus riders are tired. We're genuinely fatigued at the idea of trying to improve our buses, trying to fight for something that we absolutely deserve, our whole city deserves. And really, I believe that our political leadership in Kansas City relies on this fatigue of bus riders, as well as the apathy and low expectations of car-reliant Kansas Cityans, so that you can continue to not take our public transit needs seriously. And this is intentional. And you may not believe it's intentional, but when you refuse to fight for the funding that you know our bus transit system deserves, that's absolutely a choice to deprioritize the needs of Kansas Cityans. We're losing our jobs, late for work, stressed by unpredictability, missing appointments, all because we live in a city where for whatever reason you don't have a car, then you're ass out. I'm a bus rider. I talk to other bus riders, and as a group, we've talked to hundreds of bus riders in Kansas City. And so few people believe that our political leadership will lead to any change. And just so you know, hopelessness is not the default. But after constantly being let down by the people who represent us, what more do you expect Kansas City's bus riders to think? I believe there's space for something more, for actual leaders to step forward and support the demands that real people living in the city have come together to present. I truly want to believe that you have the bravery to be positive change you claim to want to see in your city by funding our buses. And at this point, I'm not sure what more convincing could be done, but ultimately, we will see where your interests lie, and we can only hope that it lies with the people. That's all.
Han Oliver, and I live in the 4th District, and I'm a biker, and I use transit to get to work and around the city, and I'm passionate about having a more walkable, less car-dependent city. I just have a comment and a question. I'm studying urban planning, and a big part of it is public engagement. And when I got off the 63rd bus, I was coming up onto the center, and there was a yard sign about a hiring event, but there was no banner about a public hearing on the budget today. So that's just a note for the future. And I have a question about, on the transit budget, looking over the numbers, it was very general. If anybody could let me know if there's a specific number about allocation for bus stop shelter and improvements, like a lot of these stops don't even have benches, so if there's a specific number, a timeline of when you guys are going to get those done, that'd be great to know. Thank you.
As Mr. Craig comes up, we have one more card, Charles De Leon. I spoke too soon.
Thank you. Good morning. I just want to say, when you come late, you expect you're going to have more time to prepare. So I'm going to do my best. My name is Evie Craig. I'm Executive Director of the Arts Asylum, which is in the 6th District. We were in the 5th for a hot minute, and then redistricting it. But I'm here as President of the Paseo West Neighborhood Association, which is in the 3rd District. I just want to speak in support. We've heard many people here speak of the importance of investment in neighborhoods and in our communities. Areas like the 3rd District, which carry a larger burden of violent crime, homicides, particularly involving youth, abandoned buildings and disinvestment, aren't that way because of the people who live there. They are that way because of the things that have been done to people who live there. So I would encourage you to reach out and have meaningful community engagement. Neighborhoods will return their ROI on investments across the line in terms of trash, in terms of violent crimes, in terms of all of the things that the city spends so much time and money afterwards trying to take care of. Those answers are there, but it takes real, meaningful, authentic community engagement, such as the 2 councilwomen from the 3rd District have put together the past year with our 3rd District convention, and there's a very ambitious 5-year plan involving both philanthropic and public investment. So I just wanted to, again, encourage you to listen to neighborhoods. We're working on everything, quite frankly, from trash to the infrastructure, and we experience experience that and live that every day. One other thing to say is we've been living in a couple of years, and I'm sure you all are aware of this and looking forward. ARPA funds, some of the federal funds that have helped municipal budgets are coming to an end. And we need to, more than ever, use collaboration and leveraging in a way across all of the departments in a way we never have before. I think we constantly see new projects coming in that aren't doing that, and thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Charles De Leon, and I'm here not only to address the City Council, but I'm also addressing the residents of Kansas City today, but also the staff for the budget. I want to be critical of a reminder that today most of the speakers have talked about public infrastructure, picking up trash, not enough littering and stuff. But I also want to talk about something that the resident right before me said. She talked about violent crime in the 3rd District, and that it's not because of the people there, but it's because of what has been done to them. I think this is very important to take notice of because we are in the top 5 spenders of police already. We are already competitive whenever it comes to police budgets and police wages and stuff like that. But for some reason, our residents keep suffering. Today, out of 10 plus residents, they have came up here talking about reparations, public infrastructure. They have talked about more public services to be added to the budget. I need you all to really take critical attention to this. More police officers, higher wages for police officers is not going to keep us safe. Better public transportation is going to keep us safe. Better public education is going to keep us safe. The kids that are suffering from violence, they're not suffering because they are violent themselves. They are violent because they have a lack of resources in their community. Those resources are being given to people that oppress them, that criminalize them, that beat them. There's a police officer right behind me right here. Whenever I saw his presence in here, I didn't feel safer. I didn't feel that he was here for my safety. I know that he's probably not an evil guy, but I felt anxiety. I felt tension. Because I come from one of those communities where police officers beat on us on the regular because they criminalize us, because they call us violent. So please take critical note of that. We shouldn't have one of the highest budgets for police.
All right, that is all the cards I have. Again, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I'm going to give my colleagues an opportunity to comment on this public hearing. I want to remind everyone that we have 2 more public hearings. Next Saturday will be at City Hall. That will be a both in-person and virtual opportunity. So if you know members who would like to join virtually, please get the word out, as well as a week from Monday, we'll be at Northland Neighborhoods. So I'm going to we'll just start in the end with, sorry. Just say whatever you want to say. If you want to just comment on what has been said, or you can use this as an opportunity to say anything. As long as the microphone's out.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I know that it's an early Saturday morning for me. I'm usually having 10 or 12-hour days like many of you. So giving up your weekend to come and talk to us about something very important, the budget, I just want to say that I appreciate that. And having your input and your perspective is very helpful. Over the next several weeks, we'll be making some pretty challenging decisions. Obviously, we can't do everything, but we can do what we can do. And so your feedback is critical to that. So I don't really have too much, opinions to give, but aside from saying thank you for being here and continue to show up and tell us what we need to be doing better. I really appreciate that.
Jonathan Duncan, 6th District. I just want to reiterate the gratitude from my colleague, Melissa Patterson-Hasley. This is kind of working. I want to remind everybody who talked about transportation today that KCATA will be testifying to the Transportation Infrastructure and Operations Committee on Wednesday, March 6th. Gentleman and a scholar you are. So any questions that you have for that day as well, please let me know. Eric Bunch, Councilman Eric Bunch and Councilwoman Melissa Robinson also sit on that committee. So it's important that we hear your voices and that we're able to provide questions and testimony when KCATA provides their testimony to us in that committee.
Hello again, Raina Parkshaw, and just want to thank you all for, again, attending today. Thank you for your comments. And I also want to just say, just reiterate how important your voice is in this process. And I want to thank Councilwoman Robinson for also stating this is a first draft. And over the next month, because we will finalize this on March the 28th, that we will be putting amendments forward. And so I already have a few action items here that I actually would like to even reach out to some of you to learn more about some of the recommendations you made. One is I'd actually like to see the petition you talked about, because I haven't seen that petition. But also just want to say for the 5th District residents, because of the budget, the budget hearing that is Monday, we decided, Councilman Curls and I decided to move our 5th District meeting back an hour to allow for us to be able to attend the budget session at Northland Neighborhoods. Our staff, our aides will start the meeting, and then we'll get there as soon as we can afterwards. But just want to make sure that the 5th District residents that plan to attend our 5th District monthly meeting are aware of that. But thank you again for all of your comments today, and I look forward to even future opportunities to engage with you. There's a couple of comments also that were made about public engagement, and every opportunity I get, I share the frustration that I have with sometimes the limited amount of public engagement that we have in our city. And so I appreciate the comment that someone made about even putting out signage. We have a team a staff department, multi-departmental team that is actually working on improving our public engagement process, because I think we had a maximum of 70 folks that participated in the citywide business plan that framed what you just saw today. 70 people in a city of over 500,000 folks. And I know that there are more people that care about what happens with the budget. And so we are working, the staff is working to come up with a strategy, and they will engage you in that process, as the goal is to come up with a more comprehensive way that we can engage the public, because we recognize we're missing the boat somewhere. So as that information is forthcoming, and hopefully we'll do a good enough job to engage you in that process. But we want to hear from you, as this council then will get a recommendation back on how we can create a more engaging, comprehensive public engagement strategy. So ultimately, I know I'm going on long, but there's a lot of key things that this council is working on. And as you can tell, we are here to serve you. And I'm really proud of our council of this term, in that we have been very collaborative in working to try to address the needs of our residents. So thank you again, and I'll pass it on.
All right, and just to piggyback on what Mayor Pro Tem said, on Wednesday we will begin discussing the budget ordinances in committee, 10:30 in council chambers, and we will start talking about the amendments and have further discussion on the budget. We will also provide, and I was discussing with our Director of Finance, a way to submit testimony or comments via email that may be separate from our normal public testimony. So that will provide more information on that. But absolutely right, I wrote down the comment about the signs as well, to make sure that we are providing as much access and information as possible. So I'll pass it over to Councilman Curls.
Thank you. Once again, thank you all for coming out. Your voices are very important to us, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to share your concerns with us. Obviously, we have a limited amount of money, but we have a whole lot of needs. And so we're going to be very deliberative in what we spend our money for. We're going to try to make the best decisions that we possibly can based upon listening to your concerns and your thoughts. So thank you for coming out. Thank you again. I'm going to be very brief because everybody else has said a lot. I echo what they say, but feel free to contact my office as well as anybody else's office up here. If you think of something else that you wanted to say or you didn't have time to really expound on today, feel free to contact us and let us know what those thoughts are as well. So look forward to seeing you later on, hearing your concerns and working to make sure that we put forth the best budget that we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate you. This has been very refreshing to hear from you today. I do have two things to ask of you. Number one, if you could please go to the city's communications page and make sure you're signed up for your district newsletter and encourage your neighbors to do that so that we can continue to communicate. The city sends out a lot of communication. We want to make sure people are connected in that way. The second thing is really share these budget hearings again with your friends and your neighbors. I counted about 23 testimonies, which is, again, was very refreshing, very great. We want to make sure that we can include as many voices in the budget as possible. So as we move forward to the next 2 meetings, we would like for you to invite your friends. The biggest thank you that we could give is to make sure that what you heard today is reflected and enumerated in the budget that we pass on the 28th. So stay engaged in the process and ask the questions and make sure that we're providing those receipts and those documentation that what we heard today is reflected in our expenses on these issues. My observations and regarding what this room has said is really about, mobility is about opportunity. If you can make sure people are mobile, then they can have access to opportunities. We need that. I also heard about infrastructure, and as our taxes increase, as residents, you have an expectation and demand that we have those basic city services so that we have the quality of life that we all deserve. And then finally, I really heard a lot about equity. Everyone in our city should have the opportunity to meet their full potential. And the city has a responsibility in making sure that that is there as well. So thank you for your time today. And I look forward to working with my colleagues to make sure your concerns are reflected in our budget.
I'm just going to say a quick thank you to everyone who came out to participate. I don't think we can say that enough, that taking some time out on your Saturday morning on what's going to be a beautiful day. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for some very hard work that went into things like having conversations with folks riding the bus and surveys to help us understand more about what the need is. So really appreciate that, but I also want to say thanks to city staff. We have quite a few department directors and leadership in various departments here today. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day today as well to be here to listen. So thanks a lot, and we've got a lot of work left to do, and we will see you all hopefully at the next few meetings and hear from you on all your hard work. Thank you.